There's an oil boom going on right now, not in Saudi Arabia or Kuwait or any of those places, but 600 miles north of Montana, in Canada, Alberta, in a town called Fort McMurray, where, this time of year, the temperature sometimes zooms up to 0. The oilmen up there aren't digging holes in the sand and hoping for a spout. They're digging up dirt which is saturated with oil. They're called oil sands, and if you've never heard of them, you're in for a big surprise because the reserves are so vast in the province of Alberta that they'll help solve America's energy needs for the next century. Within a few years, the oil sands are likely to become more important to the United States than all the oil that comes to us from Saudi Arabia. 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, vehicles which look like prehistoric beasts move across an Arctic wasteland extracting the oil sands. There's so much to scoop, so much money to be made. There are 175 billion barrels of proven oil reserves here. That's second to Saudi Arabia's 260 billion. But it's only what companies can get with today's technology. The estimate of how many more barrels of oil are buried deeper underground is staggering. Listen to Shell Canada Chief Clive Mather.
We know there is much, much more there. The total estimates could be 2 trillion or even higher.
2 trillion?
2 trillion.
That's the number with a T.
That's the number with a T. This is a very, very big resource.
Very big? That's 8 times the amount of reserves in Saudi Arabia. The oil sands are buried under forests in Alberta the size of Florida. The oil here doesn't come gushing out of the sand the way it does in the Middle East. The oil is in the sand. It has to be dug up and processed. It didn't always. The oil sands have been in the ground for millions of years, but for decades, prospectors lost millions of dollars trying to squeeze the oil out of the sand. It simply cost too much. T. Boone Pickens, a legendary Texas oil tycoon, was working Alberta's traditional oil rigs back in the 60s and remembers how he and his colleagues thought mining for oil sands was a joke.
Here we are sitting there having a drink after work, and somebody said, it isn't possible. It'll have to be subsidized to a level. Said, before they'd make money, you'd have to have $5 oil. We never thought that'd happen.
But then $40 a barrel happened, and the oil sands not only made sense, they made billions for the people digging them. But it wasn't just the price of oil that changed the landscape. It was the toys. That's what they call the giant trucks and shovels that roam the mines. Everything about the oil industry has always been big. It's characterized by bigness, from the pumps to the personalities. But up here in Alberta, it's frankly ridiculous. Just look at this truck. It is the biggest truck in the world. It's 3 stories high and costs $5 million. It carries a load of 400 tons of oil sands, which means that at today's prices, each load is worth $10,000. What's it like to drive one of these monsters? At the foot of a tire, we asked driver Jim Locke.
You got 14 steps going up, and at my house at home, I have 14 steps going up my upstairs. So it's like going upstairs my house, sitting on my bed, and driving my house downtown.